kind of hat maneuver. So I assume.
Oh no, we're definitely live.
Oh, fantastic. Well,
Ah,
once again, with a
what a
smooth
dick.
transition from our
Oh,
producer on a scale of rook to five, that was definitely a rook transition to live. But welcome in. Happy hour,
Happy
everybody.
hour.
Yay! Welcome into another
and
edition of Hit Points Not Required Happy Hour, where we enjoy tasty beverages, complain about our lives for a little bit, and eventually get around to talking something about TTRPGs. Before we get into any of that nonsense, though, I think it is appropriate this week that we acknowledge who drinks on the house. And I was originally thinking, thematically wise, that'll make sense to the viewing audience later, that it would be your small town pharmacist, the one you can go in there and talk to your problems with while you get your medications. But I realized that would exclude just about everybody. There's maybe one left somewhere in Alaska right next to the Blockbuster. So instead, anyone out there ever, if you have been wronged by big pharma in one way or another, come on in, belly up to the bar. You drink on the house tonight. And well, I do apologize. This probably excludes our Canadian friends and maybe a lot of the other people. It's really basically all about those of us here in the States with the worst healthcare in the universe. But either way, if you have been wronged by big pharma, you drink on the house.
Therefore, everyone.
Maybe.
the tab is going to be high tonight.
And I
That's
wouldn't be
all I
so
can
quick
say.
to exclude Canada. I'll just say that. They got their own set of problems. They're just slightly different.
Truth. But maybe to fill the watching audience, to fill the universe out there that is observing this on the internet. Brooke, how was your week?
It was all right. It was all right. It was all right. I have to say, we do have an update on the unending saga that is the lawn. It's a
Mm-hmm.
big one. It's an important one.
All right.
It didn't happen this week. It's been about, I don't know, 10 days or so that I've been holding on to this little nugget to give all those folks out there wondering. Vine Grove Small Engine, those motherfuckers have closed up shop and are out of business.
What?
The barn
Shocking.
is empty. The gravel
Wow.
lot empty.
Wow. Didn't see it coming. What
If
a
their
twist.
impeccable service and undeniable customer experience that I had achieved in my brief stint with them since their takeover of the company was anything like everyone else's experience, we all know why. Fuck them.
All right. Do you feel vindicated by their failure?
Not really. I mean, I don't want to see anybody fail. Like at the end of the day, as much shit as I want to talk, I don't want to see anybody fail. But yeah, fuck them. I don't feel bad for them. But
Vengeance
I
has
also
a
don't
name.
feel like I should go piss on their corpse or anything. Maybe a little
Especially
teabag.
since
But
they're probably not dead. So, yeah.
I mean, should or did? There's two different questions there.
yeah. So
However, I mean, do you feel in the least part like bad that you could have probably kept them in business for another 10 to 15 hours?
if I had called them back to fix the thing that they fucked up, no,
Yeah.
I don't feel bad about that at all.
Yes.
I feel like you may have single-handedly caused their downfall by talking about your
By
drama
talking about 'em
here.
with
Yeah.
our
Yeah, I think
6
that's what
people
happened.
that watch our happy hours.
I think
Probably
that's
so.
exactly
That's
what
probably
happened.
so.
I mean,
It
word
all
has
starts
spread.
with
There-
word of mouth, right?
There are 6 people that watch it live, but there's probably at least 25, 30 people that have seen
And
it
that
on
just,
YouTube.
by sheer coincidence, that was all of their customers.
Yeah,
That just happened to watch.
Well, it may be 30%, and then they told the other 60% of those
True.
customers that look what happened to this guy. I think
Are
he's
you
here.
listening, Taco Bell? Are you listening?
Speaking of Taco Bell, we got some rum and Baja Blast. Not quite a gobby nobby, but we're halfway there.
You're halfway somewhere, that's for sure.
Always.
Oh goodness. Mm-hmm.
Always.
But yes, interestingly enough, I was not trying to segue into a up lawn at this present time. There was something else that happened to you that I thought would tie in directly to
who drinks on the house.
Yeah. I thought that would be I'm sorry, transitions are lost on Rook. I need to spell it out a little bit better for the future. But yes, was there anything that happened in your life this week that would be of a pharmaceutical nature?
Yes.
Cool.
All right, moving on.
No, like I am self-employed. I do not carry health insurance. I pay my medical bills as they come, and et cetera, right? And like because of that, like, the closest pharmacy to us is not as inexpensive as maybe another pharmacy might be. And so our healthcare provider, who, like Vine Grove Small Engine, fuck them, is also a small town, local, independently owned medical provider. Like, they keep sending our frickin' prescriptions to the place that costs us more money. And they won't give us more than 1 month of our prescriptions anyway. So we have to call them every month and be like, yo, you sent our shit to the wrong place again. And, well, once again that happened, and I paid $35 for a prescription that should have cost me $9, and I wasn't happy about it. And it kind of ruined my motherfucking week. You told me not to be negative on these things. Why?
Oh, no. This is the time to be negative. You be negative all you want. It's
Anyway. So anyway, the point being, like, what the fuck? Like, if I have to call you every single month and say you sent my shit to the wrong place again, why am I even talking to you? Just fucking let's go find somewhere else. So after ranting to Chuck for, I don't know, an indiscriminate amount of time, quite some time, I should say, I got home and then ranted to Aries Starfire as well. And I was like, look, this is bullshit. And at the end of that entire rant, however long it might have been, you may be able to imagine that I can bitch pretty well. At the end of that rant, she just looked at me and said, I'll find another doctor.
That is the solution, I guess. There's just only so much you could do. It's also weird. I mean, I don't know what the prescription was. We don't need to talk about that. But I've dealt with something for friends before where, hey, we can only give you a 30-day supply. Well, I'm going out of the country for 90 days. Well, we could still only give you a 30-day supply. And it's just so annoying. And then, you got to jump through hoops to try and get what you need.
It's super weird because when we moved from one pharmacy to the other, all of my prescriptions are moved, and every time I have to call and be like, "Yo, I need a refill," right? Every time I call for one, they just automatically go to the right place. But for my wife and my stepdaughter, like, it is fucked every single time.
Well, they're going to find a new doctor. So, and hopefully we won't be talking in, 6 to 8 weeks from now or several months from now and find out that doctor is no longer practicing. And it's just a gravel parking lot.
You never
Where
know.
the doctor's office
Never
used
know.
Going to be
to
wiping out businesses left and right.
the power.
The
Oh,
reach of hit points not
happy hour.
required.
Yeah.
Happy hour.
Do not cross Rook Vellum.
Jesus.
them
I can't
happy
believe that
or
could
else.
ever possibly be a thing.
Oh,
Ever,
God.
ever. One day.
One day.
I will crush them with my pulpit.
There's nothing left to crush. It's just a gravel parking lot now.
Crush the gravel into smaller gravel.
Oh. What about you, Violet? Anything interesting to tell the people about your week?
No. I've been streaming Baldur's Gate with Rook Vellum over here. We did that the other day.
How well did that go?
I mean, it depends on how you look at it.
It's all about the
How do you
friends
evaluate
made along
success?
the way.
Yeah. Not about how many times you were murdered.
I mean, is it really murder at that point? Was it like, where does the murder line come across? And where is it self-defense when somebody comes at you not wearing pants but wielding not one but two salami?
The way we got like super slaughtered was definitely murder. Like we were having a conversation and then we were dead. Like it was like an execution straight up. But there were other instances where we were asking for it.
Clouds was there. They know. It's all because I was told to put my pants back on. That's all I'm saying.
No, I disagree.
It has nothing to
I
do
feel
with it.
we need to maintain a certain standard.
A
minimum
standard.
And it's wearing clothes.
I would think in most circumstances you would start out with your pants on.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You would think that now, wouldn't
initially.
You?
There were pants initially.
All right. I think to appease the censors, we probably should move away from Brooke's pants.
But yeah, so we'll probably be doing more of that at some point. So you can also check out Rook Vellum's channel.
I just heard that there's a green light for more pantsless Baldur's Gate 3 is what I heard there in that statement. Is that what you heard as well, Chuck?
I would like to recuse myself from testifying on what I may or may not have heard under the Fifth Amendment.
I'm sure we can pull a clip of that.
That's fantastic. That does.
And then we can cut it and edit it so it's like I was pantsless and Violet responding. We need more of that. Like we can just cut everything in between.
Oh goodness!
Again, I think there should be, and maybe I can use whatever points I have accrued during the time that we have been streaming to demand that Rook play a pantsless salami wielding character for his next character on
hit points not required. Yeah, in one shot for sure.
Yeah,
that is a good idea. That I support. There's no standards there, but for our Baldur's Gate run, there's standards.
Look, I'll be honest. I would rather picture Rook in boxer shorts and suspenders wielding two salami than wearing a coat comprised of his back hair that he draped from back to front.
That was so good.
Don't forget the arm flaps too, though. Like the
fadubada.
Yeah, the fadubada. I'm on board with the fadubada.
Got it.
I'm on board with all the fadubada. But the back hair, we could probably,
Look,
again, me personally, give me the shorts and suspenders. I'll take it every day.
I was able to scramble right up the back hair to save myself from falling. So,
Mhm.
serves a mechanical purpose.
I'm sure you could have climbed the suspenders too.
I don't know.
May not have wanted to. May have desired the back hair more than the suspenders.
It was cold out, though. The back hair is probably more comfortable.
I don't know about that. Speaking
Well,
as someone
this
with
21
back
minutes
hair,
of suffering is what anyone watching this stream has been through right now.
Yeah.
21 minutes and 39 seconds of straight
did-
fucking suffering.
I did mention it was probably going to be extended nonsense
Mhm.
on this episode.
That's fair.
In the spirit of which, I have some information that I would like to share, but I'd first like to ask a question. I believe everyone here has attended or been party to a wedding in some format. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Mm-hmm.
Has anyone here ever officiated a wedding?
Oh, no.
Oh no! I'm
No,
not sure.
no.
Oh no, I didn't.
No,
go.
those
Oh,
are
no.
separate. Oh, I didn't expect that was going to be the question. That was a surprise. And then separately, my answer is no.
Well, I have recently been asked to officiate a wedding.
Oh.
So that will be it'll be in 2025, so not this year, but next year. We'll be able to check that off of my
That's cool.
non-existent list. That wasn't on any list that I had, but it's a nice resume builder. Fluff that out a little bit, officiate a wedding, and I can add that. And then I have performed. Well, no, I've had ceremony prepared on many a cleric. I don't think I've ever had the opportunity to cast that spell.
I have performed a wedding with the ceremony spell in D&D. I have done that.
I've never managed to.
I was very excited to have the opportunity to do that. It was like a longer running campaign, and there were two PCs who were romanced, and we were heading in towards the final big boss battle. And so we're like, yeah, we don't know what's going to happen. Let's just do it. And then they get a mechanical buff from doing that for the next week or something like that. So it was awesome because we're going into a big fight and they got buffed for it, and we did a wedding.
I will make sure to record that. I'll go look up the new version of that spell. I don't know if it's changed or not, but I'll go and look up the new version of the spell, and I'll make sure I have those buffs written out and prepared to be able to hand to the happy couple at the conclusion of the ceremony. So
let them know the buff that they get for the next week.
Yeah, no, it'll be great. But yeah, no,
that's cool though.
Performing a ceremony, officiating the ceremony will be exciting. After that, I feel like I could probably translate those same skills if anybody needs bar mitzvah, quinceañera.
It's basically the same thing. It'll be fine.
Tell me what it is, and I will
show up and say something.
Yeah, we'll conduct some form of ceremony,
Funeral?
and I will have the buffs available to give out. So yeah, I thought that was interesting, something a little different. I'll have to figure out the right things to say and the wrong things to say, and make sure I sprinkle a little bit of both in there. I think that'll be interesting. Add a little drama to the affair. That's my goal right there. But no, that'll be interesting. So.
That's cool. Yeah, my wife and I, when we got married, we hired a secular officiant to do the ceremony. We got married just in an art gallery with just parents there, nobody else. It was just a very small, quick thing. But yeah, the woman that we hired was so chill and cool, and she just had just some stuff that she had written. And she gave us, she was like, well, here's something that I have, and we can make any changes you want. And we both really liked what she put together, and we're like, this is cool. It was great. So yeah, that's a cool thing to do.
Thank you. Yeah, it'll be interesting. I know both of the people, so I can put some stories in there and do some stuff.
Nice.
I particularly think it's interesting that you got married in an art gallery. Rook, how about you?
I did not. I got married in a county jail. I don't want to say prison, but there were 10-foot chain link fences that had razor wire on top.
Oh, jeez.
So very similar. Art gallery scale.
It was quite
Yeah.
romantic. There was an inmate in the next room screaming on the payphone throughout most of the ceremony. I don't think quite all. I don't think it happened till about 3 or 4 minutes into the ceremony, which lasted maybe 12.
Mm-hmm.
It was great.
Yeah, to be fair, ours we live streamed our ceremony, so because we didn't really have people there, so other people could, like family and stuff, could watch it if they wanted to, and we didn't make it private, so there were random assholes who came in and were like talking shit and trolling our wedding ceremony.
Ah, that's
Were
pretty
there like
good.
bots that came in?
Yeah, it was not cool, but I mean, we didn't know until after the fact. Obviously, we weren't watching it, so
That's funny.
whatever.
We did take a picture, like a selfie of the two of us in front of the razor wire outside the county jail, and sent it to my mother. And we're like, "Hey, yeah, by the way, we got married."
I just wish there was like a video of a bouquet being tossed over the razor wire.
Over the razor wire,
Oh,
yeah, that'd be
see,
cool.
that bouquet probably would have cost more money than the entire ceremony cost us.
Probably, but I just have this vision
Yeah.
of prisoners running to try and grab the bouquet, not because they want to get married next, but they were hoping there was like a key or a
Sure,
file,
a file,
or something they could use.
Freaking DuckTales style.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my bouquet
Looney Tunes.
was from I picked up at a grocery store that morning. So,
Yeah.
no need to be expensive.
No,
Yeah.
the file is the important part. That
Yes.
probably cost.
It probably
more
would
than
cost
the
more, yeah,
Uh,
because you want that to be good quality.
yeah, no, you can't. I mean, you can't.
You can't cheap out on the file.
Right?
We just
You-
we woke up one morning and we were just like, "Hey, let's go get married," And we drove up to the courthouse and we're like, "Hey, we want a marriage license. Is there anybody here that can marry us?" No, the justice of peace is off today. But are you? And we were like, "Oh, that sucks. We really wanted to get married today. Whatever. We don't have a whole lot of time. Blah 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 blah." And they were like, "Oh, well, let me call him and see if he can come up." So yeah, it cost us like $15 for the marriage license, and I think we paid him $25 for driving up and marrying us and leaving.
For a tip.
By any chance, did he show up in boxer shorts and
Oh God, suspenders.
He sure did not, but God, it would have been great if he did. I would have recorded the entire thing. Our two witnesses we had to have two witnesses sign the marriage license. They were both probation officers or prison officers, prison guards, whatever you want to call them. So maybe they were sheriff's deputies. I don't know who they were. They worked in the
law
prison.
enforcement officers.
Law enforcement officers.
Fantastic.
I could tell you their names. I could probably find it here if we're maybe next week.
You'll know their names forever because it's on the thing now.
No. So, but at any rate, we probably should smoothly and efficiently,
very efficiently,
style segue into talking something about TTRPG.
Mhm.
And we did 1 week ago at this time play our first game with the new 2024 Player's Handbook rules as released by the official Dungeons and Dragons team. And
Transition.
no transition. That's like a screen wipe at that point in time.
Yeah, star wipe.
Swipe left.
But we did play that. I'm interested to see. I guess I'll start. From this channel is primarily based on role play, and from a role play perspective, I really didn't feel a difference. I didn't feel it impeding anything, with the caveat of, hey, there were new rules changes, and there was a little bit more nitty gritty, crunchy stuff that came up. Oh yeah, that's how that works. Oh, let me look up how this works. Taking out of that, which is the same with any new game you played. It doesn't matter.
Yes.
Doesn't matter what. It's the first time playing a system. That stuff is going to happen. But other than that, I didn't feel like it impeded the ability to tell a story and role play in any way. Did y'all feel any of that pressure or anything in with there when you were playing the game?
I don't think so. And like not outside of needing or feeling like I needed to look at, okay, what does it say? This is how this works, because I was playing a class that was very much changed from the previous rules in the previous edition. But what is it that the genie said? I felt like I had phenomenal cosmic powers, or whatever he said in Aladdin. I gotta go look it up now.
What about you, Violet?
I didn't feel like a noticeable difference during gameplay. During character creation, very different story. Character creation I found to be a very different process for me, and I'm not thrilled about it. But actual gameplay, once the character was done and we were in the game, then yes, I agree. It didn't feel any different, other than the fact that some of it is new, having to like look up and clarify, and maybe a little bit more of, we've talked before about some people feeling an inclination to like explain why they're doing what they're doing. Like, I can do this because I have blah 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 blah, which like you don't really need to explain it unless someone specifically like questions, like, wait, what is that ability? Like, you don't really need to explain it. But I think maybe there's a little more of that now, because people don't necessarily know all the rules and wanting to be clear, like, this didn't used to be a thing, but I can do this now. But other than that, I didn't really notice a difference in the actual gameplay.
Yeah, I would say that should be if the DM needs to know. Don't
Yes.
as a player, I would recommend, if you don't know what someone else is doing, wait until after the session.
Oh,
and
yeah,
ask
yeah,
how
yeah.
that happened. I mean,
For sure.
because I mean, this happens a lot, and I'm not saying you in particular. I'm talking to the audience out there. That to try and hold back on those things. Oh, you can do what now? How do you do where? Oh, well, I mean, maybe, oh shit, that's cool. That
Yeah.
sort of stuff is fine. But asking what the mechanics of that are during a session, I think is one of the biggest ways that things get pulled out and becomes more meta, and you get pulled out of the storytelling. But I do want to circle back to something else, which I felt the same, which is character creation is a little different. Can you expand on your experience a little bit?
Well, what I suspected when we talked about we talked about the rules before they were officially released, very much feels like the case for me, with the backgrounds just being too much. There's too much in the backgrounds. Choosing your background just defines so much of what your character in general, like, and not just mechanically. I feel like a lot, I mean, obviously you can just ignore things, but backgrounds have always had a lot of flavor to them, in this idea of who your character used to be, how they grew up, or what their profession was, or something like that. And to have that sort of flavor stuff and a lot of different mechanical stuff and the feats and everything, like, it's just so much tied to one choice. And I find that very,
And
very
it now
limiting.
feels like zero flavor and all just a tool to create the character that you want to create. It's
I feel
no
like
longer it's no longer even a choice. It's just, which of these do I need to take in order to create my character?
like, just looking for the right combination of like feat and like skills that, like, it's not even like I need exactly this. It's like, let me get a combination that at least makes some kind of sense for this character that I have in mind. Like, that alone can just define, like, well, this is the only background you can take that makes any sense. Like, it feels really limiting to me.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like while I was creating this character in particular, and I've also been at the same time other characters that I have, I don't know, 200 or so characters I have in my D&D Beyond, especially the ones that I've been playing more recently and playing more of, I've been rebuilding in the new system
Mhm.
side by side and seeing how they end up being and react and whatever. But this one, building something new, something from scratch for this campaign, during the process, it made me feel like when you're creating a character, there are basically two options. One being, okay, I want to be able to do these things in this way, and now I need to look and find which background gives the mechanical stuff I need, and then try and explain why this character concept I have, this personality concept that I have, has this background.
Mhm.
Or for for example, what I did with this character was, well, that background makes the most sense, even though the feat doesn't make any sense, the skills don't make any sense, the attribute bonuses don't make any sense. Who cares? I'm throwing them on this
Mhm.
character anyway and building a suboptimal mechanical character and just gonna
Mhm.
roll with it and see what they do. And I think that the old rules had a lot more gray area where you didn't
Yes.
have to make that divergent
Mhm.
choice.
Can I ask someone that isn't limited to 6 character slots on their D&D Beyond because they may or may not hate that program with all their fucking passion? Can one of you look and see if Drow is still a option?
It is as a legacy option,
So it,
and I believe no, I
but
believe
it
there's a new option. So yeah, you probably if I if you can look that
the
up.
reason I asked that is because you and I were having a discussion earlier this week, right, about dwarves, and they took
It,
all the sub races
the,
away from dwarves.
but not from elves. I believe you still have high elf and wood elf and drow, but they
I
took a
think it's those 3. Yeah.
And what about gnome?
Cuz I
The reason I'm
there's definitely
asking,
still a drow cuz I was a drow in our
It,
recent game.
there you go.
gotcha.
Yeah.
And there definitely are for gnomes because I was a rock gnome last Monday, even though I
So
appeared as a human because I was a grifter or a
Study
scout.
they
circlet of human perfection
That
there.
indeed it
Yeah.
was.
they did remove all the half race options, correct? They removed
They did.
half elf and
Yep.
half orc and
Uh-huh.
those sorts of things.
Mhm.
So half species options.
Ooh,
Um,
Yes.
I'm super curious as to why they singled out dwarves and said, "Hey, we're going to eliminate sub races," because they expanded on the Goliath, right? We saw that in our playthrough. We had 2 different sub races, subspecies of Goliath. Why did they decide, let's take away these and again, having played D&D myself for a long time, the canonically different background of hill dwarves versus mountain dwarves and kind of their over the years differentiating who those people were. I think that it's really weird that they decided to eliminate, and I'm not going to say that mechanically there was massive differences between those sub races, but still, why do you leave the sub races in for all these other groups of species and go, okay, a dwarf is a dwarf? Did they do the same for halfling as well?
Yeah, they did.
So what was I guess it's interesting to me while we're talking about character creation, it's interesting to me that they decided to make those decisions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I would be more informed if I was playing one of those races and felt the lack of it versus, um, just the random you noticing of it or whatever. I mean, it doesn't. I think there's been a lot more lore about different types of elves than there has been with the different types of dwarves, and that may be the reason
Oh,
why.
I don't know. I don't know. through both Tolkien's work and the Dragonlance kind of land, there's a whole lot of dwarf on dwarf PvP and the differences between those different species.
Yeah, no, and that's fair. I'm talking about the lore that they are specifically diving into with this new 2024 version of the book. They're not digging deeper into Dragonlance. They're not trying to go, oh, we're trying to be more Tolkien, right? They're trying to go in this other direction, and maybe that has something to do with it.
They do acknowledge, like, in their like blurb of text, you know, like at the beginning of the dwarf section, that like in some places there's dwarves who like live in the hills and they're kind of different, and like, but there's nothing. It's like like two sentences, you know. It's not
just,
like so there's like
it's
acknowledgement
so
of that
me.
without, while still taking it out mechanically, which is like weird.
It's just interesting to me that after all
Like,
this
why
time,
one and not another? And
exactly, after all this time, why did we do that? And why didn't, if we were going to do that, why didn't we do that with virtually every species and allow people to flavor themselves?
yeah, I don't see
in a
any
way.
reason.
Again, we've become more rigid and less less open to interpretation.
Yes, that's my feeling in general with a lot. From building characters with new rules, it feels less flexible, less customizable. I also have tried to rebuild some of my existing characters from the previous rule set with the new rules and found it extremely difficult to rebuild those characters in a way that is close to what I originally had.
Are you doing that like I'm not using any legacy content subclasses or any of that stuff? Okay, yeah. See, I'm not doing that. The rules I'm using what they're calling the 2024 rule set and saying, okay, so legacy character, this subclass doesn't exist. I use the legacy subclass and then throw everything in there. And
I
usually
mean, it's obviously not going to be identical, but trying to get something that is approximately the same character. And even that is difficult. Just rebuilding like a cleric that I had from before in the new rules, and it's really hard to get like even close. It's very fussy. It's really limiting, I think.
My experience has been different. Most of my stuff, okay, I've got a Harengon. Well, I'm just using the Harengon, the legacy Harengon race. I'm this subclass. Okay, it's great. There were a couple of things that I ran into. The characters that I had the observant feat on, it becomes very different how that is interpreted. But I don't feel like the identity of the character has been significantly changed. I do feel like they're trying to get away from using passives because they're like, okay, an example, the observant feat, for example, you no longer get +5 to each of your 2 passives. You get either a new proficiency that you don't have, or expertise if you already had proficiency, which will affect one of your passives depending upon which of those you put expertise in, obviously. But it does not affect your passive scores like that, which I think is just it makes things more consistent table to table, because I play a lot of pickup games, and you never know when you're bringing this character to a pickup game if it's somebody that uses passives or ignores passives.
Yeah.
And it could be a wasted I don't want to say a wasted thing, but something that it is just
I think you're 100% correct about that, but I still am annoyed by it just because I think people should just use passives more. Use the freaking
less
passive
rolls,
score.
more telling a story.
Yes.
I do too, but I mean, I just look at it in terms of, is it going to affect the way I play the game and the way I enjoy the game? And
whether or not DMs use passives does, I think, affect the way you play and enjoy the game, but that's me.
Which is granted, that is correct. Less rolling is better in my viewpoint of playing a game. But I think that's a part of finding a table that you
Yeah.
like or don't like, that's a good fit for you or not a good fit for you, because there are other people that don't want their passive use, that want to be rolling all the time, and they want a table where they're doing nothing but roll, 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 and that's their enjoyment of the game.
Yeah.
Great, you're having fun. I'm not going to tell you you're not having fun the right way.
Sure.
But in general, I haven't found the. I find it interesting that you have to make that branching choice from your background of choosing something. It's almost, in almost every character I've looked at, if I'm not going to just use the old background, because I've done that too. What if I use one of the new backgrounds versus using the legacy background to create this character? And every time I take when you come to that, it's choose the one that makes sense to my character concept and personality, or choose the one that makes mechanical sense. And almost maybe once out of 100 times, it's the same one.
Yeah.
And I think to me that makes it. To me, it's an interesting study on people looking at which one that they end up choosing and which way they end up going. And it is not wrong to sit there and choose the one that has the mechanical benefits better, because this is going to be a better performing character at the table, and I will just come up with some rationale in story, in my backstory, that explains why I took that. And that's fine.
Yeah. I mean, and we've talked plenty of times about not needing your character to be like mechanically optimized or whatever, like just play the character you want to play. But at the same time, when you're getting put in this position where it's like every character is like suboptimal, is like not fitting what you envision for this character, the things they're able to do don't fit, and it happens so much across the board and affects the way that you're choosing to build the character, like that's too much. Like that's not good.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see. I mean, I agree. And again, it just depends on how you want to play the game and the table that you're at, and what you want to do with that. Do you want to take those mechanical choices? Do you want to lean more into the story?
But you shouldn't have to choose one or the other.
I agree. But if it doesn't impede the storytelling, to me, it's not a huge deal. But I am interested for the Dungeon Master Guide to drop and see if there's an option on customize, though what the customization options they're going to provide within the framework of the rules. Because like we've talked with before, and I've talked with a million times of people outside of the game, you don't like something, ask your DM.
Yeah. I will say, I think one of the reasons I feel like for me, it can, and possibly depending on the games I play going forward and how I choose to deal with new rules, can affect roleplay going forward, is because I found the character creation process frustrating. What I ultimately started doing with building new characters with these rules was designing the character around the rules, which I don't want to do, but it's less frustrating to do it that way. Like looking at the background and just being like, okay, I'll take all the shit in this background. Who is this character who does all this stuff? And like building from there. But then it's like, cool, there's how many backgrounds? So I'm gonna have that many characters. Like it's really boxing me. I'm finding it's boxing me in my character creation and the way I think about creating my characters, and I do not like that.
Have you done anything where you just took a legacy background?
Well, no. I mean, obviously, I mean, I could go play D&D 2e if I really wanted to. I can play with whatever rules I want, but that doesn't have a bearing on. But that has no bearing on whether the new rules are good or not.
Well, yeah, that is correct, but false, but incorrect at the same time, because the new rules say you can take one of the legacy backgrounds if you want, as long as it hasn't been reprinted. So the new rules aren't saying you can't do and use that stuff.
That.
Well,
but I'm saying I'm just saying the new rules are worse than the old rules, and so I would have to use the old rules to make a character I'm happy with.
That brings me to the big question that I have, which is, we've built a body of 5th edition mechanics and books and content, subclasses, race, species, all of these things, right? we've built this body of work, and the 2024 rule set is such a minute change to that body of work. Why did we need to overhaul it all? That's my question.
Well, I mean,
Hell yes,
those are
Mishka, I agree. In
the
fact,
the
I'm going to go refill my beverage just because you're going to as well.
the well, we're certainly drinking to all of the people that have had to deal with big pharma today.
Mhm.
That is happening. But here's what I'm saying. I think that's just complaining to complain.
No,
It's
it's a
well,
real.
ask.
I think it's a
I know
real
it's a real
question.
question, but it's done. Why ask why did they do it? We know why they did it, for the money, because they could sell a bunch more books and they'll get a ton of people to purchase the new documentation and they'll revitalize their coffers. It's all about money.
Well,
So we could complain about that all we want. It's not going to do anything. And it's not going to help other people out there to be able to look at their character options and be able to create characters and be able to play within this framework in the way that they try and help them enjoy themselves better, to just say, hey, I want to complain about this old stuff and I want to know why they want to make more money.
To Violet's point, I often create my characters backwards. I often start with, this is the mechanic that I want to utilize for a character. I want to have this spell or this power, and then work myself backwards. So to that end, I think that mechanically speaking, you can definitely go, okay, this is the background I need to facilitate this thing, and then create a character backwards. I think from your, or certainly from Chuck's perspective, of starting, this is who my character was and this is what I am now, I think it becomes much, much more difficult than it ever has been in the history since I've been playing the game.
I will say I absolutely have done that too. What you're saying with starting with something mechanical and taking that and being like, okay, now building out and who's this person. The problem is that now I'm doing it around these things like these backgrounds, that it's not just taking one thing as kind of inspiration that then I can create a whole customized character around. It's a huge set of skills and information and abilities that then I am building out a little more, because it's practically the whole character right there. Like, it's so much built into one thing that it doesn't leave me a lot of room from there, and that is what I really take issue with.
It's a lot. It makes me feel like they are planning to release an Origins book with like 52 new origins. Buy this book and you have more origins, or something, because
I mean, on the
there's
one
so
hand,
much.
that would be such an obvious cash grab, but on the other hand, it would make the new rules better, but that's because they made it bad in the first place.
I mean, nobody says they're idiots. I mean, we may feel that way, we just don't say it. But yeah, I mean, I think as long as the rules say you can use the old stuff that hasn't been, as long as it hasn't been reprinted, right? If they reprint that origin, you can't use the old origin. You have to use the new origin. So just use the old origins, use the old stuff. If the rules say you can do it, I don't see why we should feel we don't, because we don't get a shitty feat. Ooh, great. I didn't get the skilled feat.
Well, yeah, it's
My character is garbage now.
My character got fucking lucky, yo. It was quite. I didn't use it, but it was quite awesome to be able to know that I had it if I wanted to use it. It certainly wasn't as powerful as it was in 2014 rules, but it was one of the better options feat wise from backgrounds to be chosen. I guess what puzzles me the most, having played this game for quite so long, right? All the way from second edition, even before the player's option stuff for second edition came out, we'll call that 2.5. every rule set that has come out over the course of these 45 years or so, 50 years that D&D's been around, has been fundamentally different than the last. When we went from second edition to third edition, fundamentally different. Then to fourth edition, fundamentally different. 5e 2014 rules, fundamentally different. This is not that.
But this isn't 6E.
It's not 6. That's why they're not calling it 6E though, which is like, but it's also, again, to your point, then why are we even doing it?
Why are we doing it?
But they know what you're saying though. They are aware of that. They know this isn't that big of a change, and that's why they're very insistently not calling it 5.5, not calling it 6. It's the 2024 rules because they know it's not that different.
Yeah, it's 5th edition revised, or that's backwards compatible. That has that, and there were enough changes. I mean, you just played a monk. That is significantly
Holy
different.
Shit. Like I was a god among men. I was Zeus wandering around that battlefield with you all. Like I really felt undefeatable. And maybe I'm wrong. I certainly died in the game. So
that was my question.
There's that. But
were you defeated, sir?
But it was and maybe when the monster manual comes out, the monsters are going to be that much more deadly in these 2024 rules. But I got to tell you, I at no point felt in danger at all in the deadliest encounter that we have had on our stream, period.
Until you died.
Well, I mean, I died to a freaking ancient dragon or whatever. Like I'm not hating on that, right? Like, but
spoiler alert: somebody may not have watched yet.
Well,
that's actually not a very accurate description of what happened. So if you haven't watched yet, it's not really spoiled.
I guess
Spoiler
it's
alert.
not what happened at all.
I did lose my pants though, and now I'm gonna go get that drink because I promised Mishka I would. I'll be right back.
All your clothes.
I did lose my pants. I didn't lose my back hair.
As our producer goes to get the drink, we apologize if any commercials start running in the meantime, because we are very close to the time when they should be running.
But yeah, and that's another thing too, is I do feel like the characters, in addition to not being difficult to build, are really powerful. I feel like a lot of the abilities have been strengthened. I feel like I deliberately built a shit character, like mechanically for this game, because that was part of what I wanted. Like, Delphine was not someone who was not supposed to be there. Like, she was 0% qualified for what she was doing.
You're
she talked her way into it. Yeah, she talked her way into it just because she wanted to know what was going on and was too curious for her own good. And there's no reason she should have survived as long as she did. But I feel like all the new character abilities make you more powerful than they were before.
Well, I feel like that's a given. That's always going to happen. Because power creep, right? Nobody would buy this book if they were buying books to make characters that were less powerful. Nobody would be excited about it.
I mean, I would, honestly, but I guess that's not most people. I love the way that they've downgraded aspects of druids. I love it.
And downgraded paladins.
Maybe that's not the common feeling. So.
And downgraded paladins, Nova abilities and that sort of stuff. There's plenty in there that's going to be interesting. We won't really be able to evaluate this until the monster manual comes out, and I don't know.
And the DMG.
Yeah, the DMG to a certain extent. I think the monster manual more than the DMG, because there's things like none of the characters have natural abilities to overcome magic resistance now. That's completely been removed. Is that going to be completely removed from the monsters in the game? Is there going to be other changes that are going to balance this power level that you feel like gods among other characters?
To be fair, I clicked off the legacy content in D&D Beyond, right? I said I'm only going to use the new stuff.
Same.
And then I looked at it and I went, holy shit, this Goliath looks really, really strong. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to do this monk thing. Oh my God, this is crazy. And then I put the
But
two
it's-
together and I was like, what is going on here? Hey, how about you fall on your ass and go prone so everybody in the party can get advantage on you? I can do that. You know, at
Everyone just
will.
surrounds.
There's
and
no
just,
save. Fuck you. Sit down. I'm a hairy giant. Sit down.
and then we find 82% of the creatures in the new monster manual are immune to prone. Who knows, right? We don't know what's coming. We don't know what to compare them to, and we can only look at them in comparison to other characters created in the same system, in the same way. And if they're balanced against each other, then there's not a problem. If they're if they're imbalanced against what we're currently experiencing as encounters, that means the encounters need to get revamped so that things are in some form of balance. I've talked with people before that were like, "Oh my God, this character that I had in this other campaign was so amazing because our DM let us have this and let us get feats and ASIs at every 2 levels or whatever." And it's like, I don't care because that's not the campaign. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a fairy tale world. It doesn't matter. We can't
Yeah.
compare, how powerful.
I can technically write in any numbers I want on my character sheet. I mean,
doesn't matter.
I rolled 18 6
no
times.
one can stop me. You're not here in my house. I can write anything I want on my sheet.
None of that matters, and I'm personally not worried about how powerful these characters may or may not be until we see all of the stuff. But the interesting part is, like I said, I think is going to be seeing where people make that choice on their backgrounds right now. Do they try and go the power method? Do they try and go the storytelling method? Because it is such a dichotomy, and it'll tell a lot more about who they are as players and where they fit in and how my characters are going to interact with them, because it's all about having fun and doing stupid stuff like both our characters were evidently set up to do.
We're definitely doing. I believe I at one point during that adventure literally was just like, I'm a dumbass, and then just went and did something stupid.
I think you said that more than once, actually.
Probably. But I will say what I would hope for from the DMG, why I'm curious to see that, is something they could do to help,
we're in ads right now, just so you know.
Well, no one will ever know what I hope for from the DMG, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Time freeze, screen frozen.
Oh, geez.
That's a long time to screen freeze.
Yeah, no, I don't think we should.
I don't know how long the ads are. We don't have to literally.
I didn't either. I literally just looked over at it, and it didn't say anything at all, and it didn't give me the option to.
Should we let the people in the chat know we are pausing our thoughts, and we'll resume exactly where we left off? Because I remember exactly where we left off. I have no idea. Violet was ranting about something.
The DMG, the new DMG. That's what I want to talk about. Oh, Cloud says there's not ads.
It for sure says ad break in progress. 1 minute. Clouds, are you subbed to our channel? Do you love us that much?
Oh,
why would anybody ever care what the fuck I have to say? That's what I want to know.
No, there's just no ads.
Not yet. So there's a chance. So you're saying there's a chance.
No pressure.
Not at all. I just
don't need to.
I'm just wondering why.
We're just trying to understand how ads work.
Yeah, right.
To be fair, we would rather your money go to the charities than
true.
Subbing to the chat. If we're not in ads, please.
All right.
Well, your thoughts. Violet.
So because
ad breaks are not in progress.
Because so much of the character creation and all this stuff feels so limiting. Like I would like to see from the DMG firstly, more suggestions on how to customize things for your players, how to help them build customized content or make modifications to existing content, and some guidance for DMs on that to help players do more with what this rule set is giving you. And then secondly, maybe even some ways to like create challenges for players that are now more powerful, like things that aren't just more hit points for your monsters or something like that, but different kinds of challenges that even though your build looks really strong, you could still be challenged in some other way. So like there are things like that in theory, I feel like it is so naive of me to think that they would do that, but in theory they could. In theory they could. There are things that could be in the DMG that could help.
What I feel is they have created rules in a system that is more rigid for the masses, figuring that people want more rigidity. I can just create something, here are the rules. First time DMs don't have to worry. If you all follow the rules, everything will be fine and all of that, with the assumption that longer time players, more experienced people are going to do what they want anyway, and the DM is going to be like, sure, you can change that, just go ahead, do what you want, swap this out, swap that out. And we've said that before too. You don't like the way something works. There was a forum that I was in with somebody talking about the new sorcerer and not liking that the aberrant mind didn't have the chance to swap out to I forget what it was. It was a bard spell. What's the one where you forget
modify
everything?
memory.
Modify
memory.
Yeah.
That is the one. And they're like, and yeah, sure. I mean, if I'm the DM, yeah, that does seem like that should be a aberrant mind sort of spell. Let's add that to the sorcerer list for you. And no, it's not on your auto prepared spells, but you get 4 more spells now than you did on the base class anyway. Just use one of your known spells to take that spell, and you can take it now, right?
Yeah.
I mean, just talk to your DM, and the person was like, "Oh shit, I could do that."
Yeah, I think it's always been true, but I think that's probably bottom line here is with the new rules. If you're at a table that's using new rules, like now more than ever, talk to your DM. If you're feeling like limited by character creation, if you really want to do something but you don't see it in the options available to you, just talk to your DM, because there's always a way to make it work if your DM is inclined to do that. And if they're not, they're maybe not the DM you want to play with. So
I will double down on that and say, always talk to your DM. I don't care what the idea
Oh,
is.
yeah,
it doesn't have to be a mechanical
sure.
idea. It doesn't
Oh,
have to
yeah.
be whatever. Don't be afraid to talk to your DM. Don't feel like you need to trick your DM with the concept.
Gosh.
Talk to your
Work
DM.
with them.
Yeah, explain. You're trying to tell a story together, and they are the ultimate narrator or tale weaver or whatever you want to call them, and they're going to help you with your vision and your concept.
Just because they run the monsters doesn't mean they're your enemy.
Right?
You are working with them. Yeah.
That's the biggest piece of advice I could ever give anyone in TTRPG terms. But yes, we are running long. We have made it through a not ad break, and I think this discussion has brought us to the to our segment of last call. And I know it was teased out. There's some new stuff coming. And
it wasn't about these motherfuckers that screwed me on my lawnmower. That wasn't what we teased out there.
That's our big announcement.
No, but if I was
even the dogs are pissed.
Dogs.
They're
like, don't mention that place. Don't mention their name in this house.
I will say, Rook, if I was in that neighborhood and the next time I end up in that neck of the woods and passing through that neighborhood, I will piss on that gravel lot in honor of you. That will happen. You heard it here first.
Somebody clip that shit.
Yeah.
But no, Violet, did we want to tease out?
Well, I don't know. Did I mistakenly? Am I letting the cat out of the bag too soon?
Hell no. Fuck it.
No,
What could go wrong?
There's a bag, there's a cat, we're opening it. That's what we
Yeah,
do. We're
I mean, you really
TTRPG
shouldn't
people.
keep cats in bags. It's
Exactly.
not
I
a good thing to
concur.
do.
I didn't
So,
put the cat
yeah.
in the bag. Why are you looking at me when you said that? Man.
Damn it, Chuck. No, but yeah, we have a studio show coming up at some point in the future, as to be determined, but not too far in the future. We filmed a game in a studio all together in the same physical human space over the summer. It's about 9 episodes, I believe, a short campaign. It's fucking amazing. It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be really awesome. It's everyone's at the table together, and it's so we have an amazing cast, including the two gentlemen right here are part of that cast, and just some wonderful Atlanta talent. And of course our fabulous DM Jacob, and it's a really, really cool story. We're so happy with how it went. It was a fun time. It's a great story. So it'll probably be a few months. We're not saying a date yet because there's still tech stuff to work out, but and it'll probably be a few months until it's ready. But we wanted to start getting people hyped. It's gonna be awesome.
Oh, it
Yeah,
was
I
so
will,
fun, and it was so good. It really was a great story.
Yes.
Great story to be told.
And from a fact perspective, I will put a couple things out there. One, we did this in conjunction with Do You Validate Studios. So if you're looking for anything, especially in the Atlanta area, more specializes in comedy, but there's a fantastic space that is set up and available through Joel over there at Do You Validate Studios. And we had, for those of you who have seen last week's actual play that we did, our charity one shot. Friedrich Chrysander was our behind the scenes photographer. Was really only going to be there Thursday for one day of our shoot, but liked it so much he stayed for all of the episodes and film stuff. And we do have a sort of teaser intro cut that we've put together from that behind the scenes footage that will be dropping very soon to anybody that is in our Discord. So if you are not yet in our Discord, if you have friends, if you have one friend, if you have someone that's not an enemy, just recommend that they join our Discord where they will
have someone who's not an enemy.
It's a low bar, but the links are in chat right now. The links are right there in chat. They just popped up a little while ago for Discord and for our YouTube.
Yeah.
And there's a big ass QR code somewhere over that way.
Somewhere over there.
It's definitely below Chuck. It may or may not have been below my fucking, like, I don't know where it is.
I'm only looking at chat. I'm not looking at the screen, so I don't know where we are on this thing. But it was a super, super fun project. I was behind the scenes and got to watch the whole thing unfold, which was awesome. And I loved every second of it. So I can say from an audience perspective, it is a great game and a great show. So
and
yeah.
I was one of the characters, and I was unfolded, and it was fantastic from that perspective. So from any which way you look at it, there was some great stuff. We're really proud of it, and we are really excited to get that to you, hopefully in 2024.
Yeah, we'll probably get it just in there before it hits 2025. That's the goal.
Just in there. We didn't say by how much. 10 seconds doesn't matter. We'll make it under the wire.
But stay tuned.
It'll drop just before the ball drops in Times Square.
New Year's Eve will drop.
It's a race.
Yeah. but stay tuned. Discord obviously is a great place to keep track of what we're doing. Updates will happen as they happen. We'll keep you posted once we have more concrete release dates, and
And as a last call, also stay tuned for giveaways that are going to
Yeah.
start. We have some things in the works as fun little presents for our loyal people that have followed and continue to follow and actually like listening to us ramble on and on and on.
We need a lawnmower T-shirt. I just thought of that. Like, we need a lawnmower T-shirt in some capacity.
We
I don't know what
do.
it
I have
is.
I have been considering up lawn projects, and what we might do, but I'm not sure there's going to be much more updates. So
I
that's
don't think there ever will be. I can't
You
bitch
like
about
Rook
them anymore. They
Vellum,
don't exist,
Rook Vellum lawn maintenance, and I have a picture of a goat.
yes.
right? Right.
There'll be there will be something, but yes, stay tuned. I think they're going to be running based on subscriptions. We are trying to formulate a subscriber goal, not just with Twitch, but also with our YouTube and our TikTok and all of the social medias that are under new management at the moment, because there was no old management.
Yes.
So any management is new management, and that's
Exactly.
I
good.
think the important thing to note there is that there will be multiple ways to get entries into our
Yes.
giveaways. Those being activity in Discord, activity in the live stream Twitch chats while we're doing our one shots, or the two shot that we have coming up, right? And then also liking, subscribing, commenting, and all the other random shit you're supposed to do in YouTube.
And all social media stuff, right? We want to, the more it gets out there. TikTok is fantastic for reach now, so we'll be trying to put clips and things out there on that can get shared in spaces. And we appreciate everybody helping us out in whatever way they can, especially if it doesn't require money. If you can just share some stuff, that's also fantastic. So
Yes.
I think
That is what we want the most. Is we want just people to come hang out, talk with us, see our stories that we're putting out. That's what we're looking for.
We want you all to log into your America Online account and share in their message boards.
God. All right, I think we have gone on
Yeah.
entirely long
To
enough.
go.
Our hour has been very happy. We love you all, and remember, hit points are not required to enjoy a tasty beverage
Or two.
or 20.